Love is Blind spent hours entertaining us with their intense blind dating experiment.
Is love truly blind?
We hope so.
But there are even more scenes that never aired on Netflix. Did you know that even though we only followed 5 couples' journeys, 8 couples actually ended up getting engaged? Pod dating turned out to be extremely useful when forming deep, long-lasting connections. And there simply wasn't time to include everyone. This meant that there was a lot that viewers didn't get to see, whether it was on-camera drama or behind-the-scenes bonding. Here's a closer look at what viewers may have missed.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Mark and Jessica. Their love story may have looked rushed or shallow to fans, but it turns out Jessica and Mark's connection was deeper than how it appeared on the show. Their love didn't form simply because of shallow reasons. According to Mark, "We didn't just connect because Jess and I were from Chicago, like, oh, she's the one. We really connected on a deeper level. We did a gift-giving day, we had a nacho and queso day, we did things. We were actually really goofy with each other and had a lot of fun." By the end, Jessica gave him a daily devotional and he gave her his grandmother's bracelet. So they really were vulnerable with each other regardless of the big age difference. This makes it even more heartbreaking that Mark ended up getting dumped at the altar for the entire world to see. Luckily, Mark has moved on since the airing of the show and has recently welcomed a baby with his new girlfriend Aubrey. Jessica's conversation to leave. Speaking of that disastrous wedding breakup scene, there was a reason for all that drama. The producers definitely had an influence on whether or not that particular breakup moment would actually take place. As it turns out, Jessica didn't have a choice on whether or not she was going to walk down the aisle. The producers made up their mind that she had to. When asked if she had an opportunity to leave, she revealed, "Yeah, I had to stay. I definitely had a conversation about leaving and I wasn't able to do that. My dog got sick too during the show. I had so much other stuff going on." She admits that she wasn't 100% in with the relationship with Mark because of everything she had going on at home. This makes a lot of sense, especially when looking back at previous episodes, when it seems that Jessica is not fully invested in Mark. Knowing that her relationship was going to end and still being forced to go through the wedding ceremony with Mark must have been tough, and we sympathize with her on that one, even though she received a lot of hate from fans online. Beef with Barnett. Even though it was a major plotline, Mark doesn't think the drama with Jessica and Barnett was as big a deal as the show made it out to be. Mark said, "I think finding comfort is what any of us were trying to do. It really wasn't that much of a factor." It seems as though Mark didn't take it personally that Barnett was going after the same girl as him. Mark and Barnett were actually good friends and were able to get over the awkwardness caused by the show's dating premise. Good for them. It's refreshing to see reality stars that are actually mature, even when there's obvious conflict. Lauren's napping. Lauren and Cameron are certainly relationship goals, and definitely the strongest pairing to come out of the season.
Cameron,
Yes.
I think I love you.
In fact, Lauren was so confident about her connection with Cam that she used the rest of her pod dates as an opportunity to catch up on some much-needed sleep. These moments weren't aired because, well, for obvious reasons, it would probably bore the audience into sleep as well. Lauren explained, sleep was kind of not a huge thing that was going on during that time. We definitely would utilize that time and take some naps if we didn't feel a connection. The producers even encouraged it because they had such long set days, some lasting up to 16 hours. Her confidence paid off because the two have recently celebrated their 2-year wedding anniversary. Talk about success. Danielle and Rory. Some contestants still managed to find love on the show, even if cameras didn't follow their storylines. Danielle and Rory hooked up on the show, but their stories were cut out of future episodes. Lauren revealed they were actually a couple of couples, 2 couples that were dating and then they got engaged. None of them really ended up working out, so hey, maybe it's for the best that their story was cut out. Danielle and Rory's reveal day was not shown in the final edit, but it was certainly filmed. Danielle spilled on Instagram that there was so much more to their love story than what was shown. The two headed to Miami instead of Mexico with all the other couples after their first meeting. She described the process as nerve-wracking and couldn't hold back her tears when she finally saw Rory outside of the pod. "We wish we could have seen that emotion on screen." Even though their relationship ended after the show, Danielle has no regrets about appearing on Love is Blind and describes it as a life-changing experience where she wouldn't change a thing. Gender dynamics. What wasn't exactly shown on Netflix were a lot of the dynamics between the female castmates. There was a lot of female-centric girl power, and everyone tried to be supportive and honest with each other. Everyone, that is, except for Jessica. According to Amber, Elsie and I were really honest with each other that we both had feelings for Barnett at the same time. Because we respected each other, we kept our distance.
She was really respectful about that. So Jessica coming out of left field, trying to tell me that he proposed to her that night. And I said, what the hell?
Today, Amber hopes that Jessica grows from all her toxic immaturity shown on Love is Blind.
I hope seeing this, you do grow from it, because that is not what the world needs, is women that go behind people's backs like that. You were engaged.
As far as the boys are concerned, the lounge was where the real connections were made. Unfortunately, none of this was ever really shown on camera. According to Rory, the guys leaned on each other for emotional support after tough dates. He said, "There's a lot of scenes of us galloping around the lounge and having push-up contests. That would have been fun to watch, but we understand why those scenes may have been ultimately cut out." Another romantic proposal. Lexi Skipper and Wesley Bear fell in love on the show, but their scenes were cut by producers. Wesley, a 27-year-old sales manager, proposed to Lexi by day 10 and made the occasion quite a dream by decorating her pod with flowers, cheesecake, and wine. Obviously, with such a romantic gesture, she said yes. According to Lexi, "I knew in my gut that he was the right person for me. Unfortunately, the two never made it to Mexico with the other couples. We assumed that their scenes were just not interesting enough compared with all the other couples." Wesley moved to Bali for 6 months after the show, which naturally affected their relationship. But the two claim to be in a good place for now. Infamous dog wine moment. We're pretty sure everyone remembers that scene when Jessica fed her dog wine. It caused a lot of drama online, with many viewers having mostly negative opinions on how Jessica was treating her pet. However, the moment that was super shocking to fans didn't seem to make the same impression on Mark, at least at the time. He was so focused on their conversation that he barely noticed that Jessica was feeding her dog wine through his peripheral vision. When thinking back on it, he realizes now how weird it was. So many engagements. Are you wondering why so many couple stories didn't air on screen? There were actually way more engagements than the producers initially bargained for.
I want to ask you, Kelly Marie, will you marry me?
I will.
The producers were expecting only 1 or 2 engagements, and were set up to film 5. So having 8 engagements in the season was a huge shock. Maybe the pod dating experiment isn't so crazy after all. It seems to actually work. Pod activities. To try and cure the contestants' boredom from all those long, deeply intimate conversations, the producers would actually give them activities to do when they sat making connections in the pods. Apart from Barnett's ukulele, which made a charming impression on his dates, there were also bongos and other instruments.
LC is my favorite initial.
Rory, whose scenes were mostly cut out, made a painting that he hopes Netflix never shows because it was so bad. At least they gave them something to do. We can imagine that sitting in those pods all day had to get a little boring. You know, kind of like quarantining. So, which secret scenes do you wish we saw in Love is Blind? And are you excited for Love is Blind: The Altar to premiere? Let us know in the comments below, and like and subscribe to The Things Reality to stay updated on all the latest and greatest in reality TV news.